the 2024 Ontario Winter Games have drawn to a close. Good evening and thank you for joining us. After a busy 2 weekends here in Thunder Bay, the Games officially wrapped up today.
13 different sports featuring more than 1,300 athletes were in the spotlight. Our Winter Games reporter Nev Van Pelt joins us in studio with more details. Nev.
Thanks, Ryan. The Ontario Winter Games were a great platform for the young athletes to showcase their talents, and the ones we spoke to all say they're very grateful for this opportunity. Meanwhile, the game organizers say it was a very fun and successful 2 weeks following months of preparations leading up to it. 50 years ago, Thunder Bay hosted their first ever Ontario Winter Games. And over the past 2 weeks, the city had the opportunity to do it all over again. The organizing committee, along with many volunteers and sponsors, worked tirelessly to ensure the Games would be a success. And event chair Barry Stribe couldn't be happier with the results.
These games have went incredibly well. And we're so happy that our athletes, coaches, officials, and all our guests have made comments to us to say thank you so much for all the support you've given us. So that makes us feel good because I guess we did the right thing.
Stribe didn't have an exact number of all the individuals who came out to watch the sports, but figured it would definitely be in the thousands. Over the span of the first weekend, the games featured badminton, cross-country skiing, diving, futsal, ringette, and wrestling. And then this past weekend, we saw hockey, curling, 5-pin bowling, archery, biathlon, fencing, and artistic swimming. The organizing committee was very pleased with all of the community support for these athletes.
You know, we had 13 sports, but we saw the community just rally behind those 13 sports. And, I think we'd be look forward to hosting more events in the future. And, we solved a lot of those lack of snow issues with community involvement. We saw lots of groups getting out to help us add snow to the trails where we were missing it. And so in a lot of cases where the weather didn't help us out, the community did. And we managed to pull off all of the events that we were looking forward to.
Many local athletes in both the individual and team sports earned medals over the weekend, and Stribe said it was very gratifying to be there to witness them earning those achievements.
Very proud of them, and I can only say that it's an emotional experience to be able to see that, witness it, and see the joy on their faces when they do take a medal home.
Stribe wasn't only proud of the athletes, but also the community, as up to 1,000 volunteers came out to help with the games. He said that right there is a testament of the Thunder Bay community and what they can do. Nev Van Pelt, TBT News.
And our sports anchor Joe Sadowski will have the latest highlights from the games later on in the news hour.
Thunder Bay police are investigating a sudden death at a Northside apartment complex. First responders were called to Andres Court on Cumberland Street around 8 o'clock Saturday morning after receiving reports of an injured person. An adult male was rushed to hospital and has since died from his injuries. Members of the Major Crimes and Forensic ID units are now involved in the investigation. A police presence remained in the area today, but it's not believed that there's a threat to public safety. Anyone with information is asked to contact police or Crime Stoppers.
One of the largest mines in this region is up for sale. The Musselwhite mine is among 6 global mining operations being divested by Newmont Mining. The Musselwhite mine north of Pickle Lake currently employs around 1,000 people. It's produced more than 3.5 million ounces of gold since it first opened in 1997. Newmont announced a strategy last week to sell off some of its mine holdings as a way to pay off debt. Company officials describe Musselwhite as, quote, a high-quality but non-core asset. The mine has struggled in recent years with a major fire in 2019 that destroyed its conveyor belt and halted operations for months. Gold production was then hampered by the pandemic, but the mine produced 173,000 ounces of gold in 2022, the year that Musselwhite celebrated its 25th anniversary.
Thunder Bay City Council will debate tonight whether to lobby Ottawa to eliminate the international student cap. The new limit on foreign students is a major concern at Confederation College and Lakehead University. The feds announced the plan last month. It would reduce the number of new international students permits by 35% in 2024 as part of a temporary 2-year cap. It's meant to tackle housing shortages across Canada, including here in Thunder Bay. The push against the cap is being brought to Council through the Intergovernmental Affairs Committee. College President Kathleen Lynch says international students will play an important role if Thunder Bay wants to continue to grow.
people are appreciative that we have the international students coming to Thunder Bay and in fact Northwestern Ontario, because we've expanded our enrollment out into the region, and it's important for those smaller communities too. And that, you know, they see that we need new people here and they support what the college is doing.
I do think that we're going to see, you know, a lot of municipalities are going to be joining forces on how we can work collectively on this. And again, you know, just highlighting to both the provincial and federal government that these types of decisions have grave impacts and that these all need to be taken into consideration.
International students make up more than 50% of the Confederation College student body. Forest firefighters are demanding the Ford government fix what they're calling a health and safety crisis.
That was the focus of a news conference at Queen's Park this morning, but a provincial minister insists the supports are there. Vasilios Bellos explains.
Forest firefighters say it was very fortunate that 2023 was such a slow fire season, because if it wasn't, they believe their lives would have been at great risk because of the lack of provincial supports.
Their response to our undeniable evidence? More silence, because this government doesn't think anyone is listening.
Veteran forest firefighter and Union Vice President Noah Friedman participated in a news conference Monday morning, joined by members of the NDP. Forest firefighters are calling for health supports before the start of the fire season on April 1st, wanting their line of work to receive the same presumptive cancer coverage as other firefighters. Friedman says the Ford government denies the risk that comes from their line of work.
In the presence of formaldehyde, benzene, silica, carbon monoxide, PM2.5, polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons, they say that it is not possible that forest firefighters can get cancer and heart disease.
The Northern NDP members that participated in the press conference also had harsh words for the province's treatment of forest firefighters.
The firefighters pay in full with their health, if not with their lives.
Whatever they say about we're adding emergency funding and so on, I'm going to say it's smoke and mirrors.
Local MPP Lise Vaugeois attended the media event and later called on the Ford government during question period at Queen's Park. Labour Minister David Piccini responded, saying his government has taken action.
Thyroid, pancreatic, esophageal, so much more. We've reformed WSIB, which, quite frankly, when that party held the balance of power and when that party was, for the one time that they'll ever have in government in Ontario, Speaker, WSIB was a mess.
The expansion of thyroid and pancreatic cancer coverage last year for firefighters did not include forest firefighters. Ontario's 2023 season saw more than 700 fires burn over 441,000 hectares of forest. Vasilios Bellos, TBT News.
Nipigon OPP had to set up a spike belt on Highway 1117 to stop the driver of a stolen vehicle. It was taken from an Arthur Street business here in Thunder Bay around 2 o'clock Friday morning. The vehicle was later spotted traveling eastbound on the highway at a high speed, and the driver refused to pull over for police. That's when the spike belt was deployed. Once the vehicle came to a stop, the 19-year-old Geraldton man fled. The OPP's K-9 unit got involved in the search, and the suspect was found and arrested. He faces a number of charges, including for the vehicle theft, fleeing police, and impaired driving.
And that wasn't the only spike belt that was deployed by area police in recent days. 2 teenage suspects fled from Anishinaabeg Police east of Marathon just after 2 a.m. on Saturday. The OPP used the spike belt on Highway 17, but the vehicle still didn't stop. Officers later found the vehicle engulfed in flames. The teens fled into the bush, but were found and arrested. The 18-year-old driver from Tillsonburg, Ontario, near London, has been charged for dangerous driving, fleeing from police, and obstructing police. A 17-year-old has also been charged with obstruction.
Lakehead University is celebrating its 19th annual Research and Innovation Week with opening ceremonies held this morning.
There's full week of events, including today's keynote speech from an expert in the new world of artificial intelligence. Jaden Billick has more.
In 2023, Lakehead was included in the top 3 research universities of the year in Canada in their peer category. Research and Innovation Week gives LU officials a chance to showcase a year's worth of their best work, condensed into just 7 days. The opening ceremony highlighted the main events that will be taking place, such as the 3-minute thesis speech, an art tour, distinguished researcher talks, an Indigenous panel, and a gala event. LU Vice President Andrew Dean speaks more about the importance of this event.
One of the things that's most important is that people have the opportunity to see, what actually is happening in research and innovation at the university. It's a year-long journey that we celebrate, and research and innovation is really a key to driving, prosperity and productivity and a better life as well. And so it's wonderful for us to have this chance to show to the public, but also to show to ourselves and to give a chance to really celebrate some of the great work that's happened during the year.
After the opening ceremony, the crowd moved to a luncheon featuring guest speaker Dan Riskin, a well-known author, scientist, and co-host of the show Daily Planet. He presented a thought-provoking speech detailing how future generations will integrate with artificial intelligence technology. And he also spoke about the possible benefits and drawbacks that will come with self-thinking technology.
Really exciting to sort of celebrate research and innovation. Those are two really important things that people do that I don't think get enough cred. And so it's great to celebrate that, and I'm really proud to be part of it. Places like Lakehead are a big part of their communities, and sharing what they're learning and how they're learning it is part of how they give back, right? A university can only exist because people want it to be there. And so it's really important to build trust, to build a connection to the communities.
The public is encouraged to attend some of the keynote speeches as well as some of the demonstrations LU will be hosting during the week. More information about Research and Innovation Week events can be found on the LU website. Jaden Billick, TBT News.
The 10th annual Coldest Night of the Year fundraiser was another big success. Summit Church was packed on Saturday as attendees walked to raise money for local nonprofit Grace Place. Organizers say they were blown away by the community support. More than 300 walkers and 70 volunteers took part. The walk is Grace Place's biggest fundraiser, helping support its programs and keeps it open throughout the year. Last week, organizers were worried they wouldn't reach their $90,000 fundraising goal. But Gary Maximchuk says the community, like always, came through.
It was great. People say that, Thunder Bay has a huge heart, and I totally believe that. It tends to come out towards the end, but it was a very good turnout today. Well, this event is really important for Grace Place because it typically is probably about 20% of our annual budget that we do with this one fundraiser. So we've come to rely on it quite a bit over the last 10 years.
So far, this year's fundraiser has brought in more than $91,000. Donations will be accepted until March 31st.
The city's Winter Fundays continued yesterday at the marina.
Some well-known animated characters played by actors from all the day's productions were on hand to entertain skaters at Prince Arthur's Landing. Jess Clement has the story.
Those who were at the Marina Park skating rink Sunday afternoon were in for a treat, as characters from the movie Beauty and the Beast could be seen performing songs as part of this weekend's Winter Funday activity. The local performers were part of all the day's productions and says the event is helping them prepare for their next show.
We're going to be practicing our songs and trying to build some energy at this event.
We're walking around, just taking photos, having a good time, singing and dancing, doing a lot of theater prep for our next show.
Yeah, we're singing songs for the younger children and putting a smile on their faces.
We do a lot of community events, mostly to get them ready for an audience and be brave and bold in front of a crowd. And the more we do of this, the easier it is by the time they get to the stage in front of a full house.
Creative director Marcia Arpin says along with practicing, they were also focusing on spreading cheer around the community. She says the reaction from families has been great.
I think a lot were surprised to see Beauty and especially a Beast come out of the building. However, they're warming up now, and as they charm the crowd with their songs, I think we're in for a fun afternoon.
Yeah, I think the little kids are really loving it, just showing some energy, being out here. I think they love the Disney characters, and I think it's going pretty well so far.
Meanwhile, those who weren't up for skating were able to do various outdoor activities for the Community Arts and Heritage Education Project. Co-director Christine Battle says they were planning on having an obstacle course, but the wind was a little too strong, so they switched gears and added an element of acting.
We wanted to appeal to all different age groups and all different levels of comfort as far as being involved in an obstacle course. And so we picked these activities to help just make people feel more comfortable and willing to join us and participate.
Next weekend's Winter Funday activity will be snow art and sculptures at the Canada Games Complex and a puppet craft project at the Baggage Building Arts Centre. Jessica Clement, TBT News.
A cat has gotten itself into a bit of trouble after climbing a hydro pole and getting stuck without a way to get back down. The tabby has been on top of the pole since at least Saturday, when residents on Alberta Street first spotted it. A Synergy North spokesperson says retrieving the cat would most likely require cutting off electrical service in the area. One resident was told this afternoon that if the cat doesn't come down on its own by tonight, power will be cut in order to rescue it. But there's no word on exactly when that might happen.
Okay, yeah, and hopefully they can get that cat down quite quickly.
Yes.
Fiona, fortunately the temperature's not that bad out there today. We did have a few cold points though over the weekend. So
yes, we did. The temperature has been fluctuating wildly in Thunder Bay and across the region, has been the case. In Thunder Bay, we had a low of -12, wind chills around -15 overnight, so not too far off the norm. During the day, we're back above the freezing mark, and that was despite periods of sun, periods of a little bit more cloud, and brief snow showers throughout the day. And the winds running the gamut, anything from 3 kilometers per hour up to 42 kilometers an hour this afternoon. Now, when I say there's a lot going on, well, we've had some snow move through the region today and is still being felt in some areas. But the big thing is the temperature. Now, Fort Frances started out with a low of -10, topped out at +10, and although we don't have confirmation, there's a pretty good chance that is a record. Yet at this hour, and they've got lots of sunshine, at this hour, all you have to do is head up a couple of hours into Red Lake, and they're currently at -7 and a wind chill of -11, and they've had periods of snow and heavy snow throughout the day. Now that snow has continued through to Greenstone, where it started about 4 hours ago. That last night, they were one of the coldest locations in the region, with overnight lows hitting -23. So I guess -6 at this hour, not such a bad thing. And then we head down into Sault Ste. Marie, where it's been mostly cloudy most of the day, and they've been sitting comfortably at 2 Celsius, Wawa at 0, and everything in between has been experienced, a little bit of a mixed bag, so to speak. Now, here in the city of Thunder Bay, we are going to slip just barely below the freezing mark to -1 and wind chills of -7, which is great news for that kitty cat. We will see some increasing cloud. Unfortunately, they got to get that cat down quickly, because tomorrow it's going to be warm in the morning, but then temperatures are going to plummet. Winds are going to kick up. Things are looking very nasty starting tomorrow in the afternoon and for at least 24 hours. And I'll have more of what that's going to be from later on in the news hour.
okay, thanks a lot, Fiona. Hopefully they can get that cat down quite quickly, as we said. All right, let's turn our attention now to national news. There was a piece of legislation that was introduced today on Parliament Hill. It's aimed at keeping kids safe online. We'll have details right after the break.